in the Mix on the Spectrum podcast presented by K.L.P. Entertainment.
Live from Atlanta, we keeping things swanky with that new K.L.P. It's the Spectrum Podcast with Kennedy Lucas, Damian Marks, Simone Teagues, and Monica Gray.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. Good morning, Detroit. Yes, we are here in Detroit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting podcast. This is the Spectrum Podcast with me and Monica Gray. We're here live in Detroit. Now, if you guys liked the last episode when we were in Chicago, let me tell y'all, it's one of those things that we just have fun doing. We saw the city. We saw everything. Shout out to Chicago, by the way. I got to Detroit. I'm sorry. You know, you guys are sharing this tour. I can't favor one city and not favor the other. But yeah, shout out to that. You guys, if you watched last episode, me and Monica did the same exact type of podcast in Chicago. And we had a fun time doing it. And we had breakfast after that. It was a very, very fun time. So again, go check out that episode. That episode is on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. I said Spotify, right? Yeah, I did. Amazon Music and so much more. That episode was very, very good. We talked about the culture of Chicago. And now that we're here in Detroit, very, 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 very exciting. Detroit is a different world out here. The city it's glitz and glamour. We'll get into our take on the city, seeing for the first time, because I think I said this in the last episode, but I'll say it in this one too, that Detroit and Chicago, these are the cities that this is our first time coming to these cities. So we're in for a treat when we come into town with these two cities and to really see the outlook of the city, and it's quite amazing. Again, we're gonna of course in this podcast we're gonna talk all about it, but I got to do some housekeeping before that, guys. But before we get down to it, we got my girl Monica. You guys know what it be. Y'all know what it be. Monica, say hello to the people.
What's going on, Detroit? Welcome back to another exciting podcast here today. To my ladies and to my fellas of the people of Detroit, it's your girl, Monica Gray, and we are back for another exciting podcast. Kennedy, we made it. We made it to Detroit. Very, very excited to do these type of episodes for you guys. It is quite amazing, and it is humbling, and I'm blessed to be on this tour, and I'm so excited. It's early morning, but we love it. We love going to the city. We love doing our thing, filming wise, for doing this podcast. Kennedy, with your DJ set, I'll let you talk about that because you got some announcements and some updates with that. But really blessed to be in this tour. We've had so many great food, to which in a second we'll get into it. We're so thankful for our fans and our audience and our listeners, because you guys make this thing. We said it in the last episode, but you guys make this thing happen to where we're able to travel and to tour and to give you guys content from different states, being that we're headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, to be able to come up to these two cities in the tour and give you guys everything that we can in media form. Very, very exciting. And then, of course, with the medical business as well, I was in those conversations in those rooms as well. It's a whole conundrum of our business that we do on the sidelines. And there's a lot of other work that we do behind the scenes. I got to give a shout out to Damian Marks. He's here with us on tour. He is kind of our coordinator for the tour this time around. Typically, he comes on the show with us on the Spectrum Podcast, but of course, we wanted him to focus on just coordinating and organizing the sets and the tours and the locations, because that takes a lot of time and effort. And we told him, hey, don't worry about it. We'll get this thing going. So thankful for you guys. The tour is going really amazing, and I'm very, very excited because from Chicago to Detroit, it's like a 3-hour drive. And of course, with our film crew and our team, it's easy to drive somewhere if it's 3 hours. Typically, I really wouldn't like to be in a car no longer than 5 hours, right? And we were planning it up like we'll just get a rental car and we'll just drive from Chicago to Detroit and then, getting ready later on going from Detroit back to Chicago. Yes, Chicago, you guys are going to get a second round of us. So excited for that. And then of course, from Chicago back to Atlanta to end the tour. Um, but yeah, Chicago, you're gonna get a second round. But Detroit. Let me tell you, we've been through a lot of great places in Detroit. We went to this one spot the other day outside, a little bit outside of Detroit, and it was called Buddy's Pizzeria. Really, really scrumptious, good pizza. The pizza was good. The wings were just so delicious. It was so good. So we stopped at Buddy's Pizzeria before we head to Detroit because it was on the way. And oh my God, Kennedy, when I tell you that food, that pizza, I like the wings, right? The wings were so good. It is tremendously good. And we were in the area where you got to saw the Michigan University of Michigan Stadium, and there's a lot of college students out. I could tell at the restaurant, the waiters and waitresses, I could tell they either went to college, University of Michigan, and they're just working their typical job after their classes. And I don't know if they're still in classes now, Kennedy, because uh, we're in December and finals is coming up and everything's getting ready to be finalized for the winter time and then they start the spring semester. But Buddy's Pizzeria was so delicious. It's one of those things that I encourage people to go. If you are on your way to Detroit at some point in your lifetime, stop by Buddy's Pizzeria. You will not be disappointed. It is so scrumptious. And then when we got into the city of Detroit, we saw so many wonderful Christmas lights and Christmas trees and, folks just getting together for Christmas time. And when they get ready for Christmas time is, I don't know, it's just such a joyous thing for me because obviously in Detroit, they have this, it's like a park, but they had an ice skating rink in the middle of the city. And hard in the nest of the city, you look around, you see the GM building, you see one of the buildings that StockX is in, right? You have quite a few other buildings. You have a Chase building, corporate building up there too. Um, you just see a lot of beautiful things around the city. Um, and I always gotta say that, these cities that we go to, Kennedy, is so interesting because obviously we see the city of Atlanta. And now that we are in different cities, you kind of think, hey, you kind of think you in New York for a minute. And Detroit kind of has the same kind of feel that we did in Chicago. But to see people are out and having a good time, it is amazing. Kennedy was like, hey, there's an ice rink. You want to go ice skating? Monica and I said, nope, something I don't do. I used to do when I was younger, skate, but look, we getting older. My knees hurt when my knees hurt, right? So no to that, but just to take pictures for you just Christmas time, it just gets me excited because everybody's gearing up for Christmas. Everybody is out either shopping or having a great time, spending time with family. And this was a couple days after Thanksgiving, so it is one of those things that it gives me so excited. I love to see it. The joyous time of Christmas and to see Christmas lights and a huge Christmas tree right in the middle of the park. It was really amazing. We stopped by, we took some pictures, and we just had a good time. It was a great time to say the least in Detroit that night. And then, of course, we had to go to Kennedy's DJ set, to which I'll let him talk a little bit more about that part.
Yeah, that night was amazing. But let me give them Monica my take on the city before we get to the DJ mixes and the announcement because the whole theme of the tour, not only that we're working the tour and doing media content and doing medical business too, but it's always humbling when you have a second to kind of explore the city. But what Monica was saying, y'all, it is gorgeous. It is so gorgeous in Detroit, seeing the building sky high, seeing the GM building again. I know I'm fantasizing over the GM building because you see that building get talked in either in school or you see a lot of movies about it or documentaries. So to see it physically in person, it is quite amazing. Um, to see the Christmas tree set up. Now, my mom is also with us, and I was able to take some pictures with my mom in Detroit, take some Christmas pictures, and we had a rocking good time, rocking good smiles. Um, very, very good. And I did ask Monica, y'all, hey, you want to go ice skating? I wanted to see her do it. I wasn't gonna do it. But we were like, nah, no, no, we good. Cause I'd rather not bust my ass, you know. So very, very good. Just all around good city. We ended up going, I did stop by a cookie place. It's Detroit water ice cookie, and it was great, really, really good cookie because they make it hot and fresh. We stopped there. My mom wanted some popcorn. It's a popcorn sweet spot, so it's like popcorn, ice cream, cookies, like a dessert shop, right? My mom ordered some popcorn. She likes the orange, the cheese, and the butter popcorn. I'm the kind of popcorn eater where if you can get all three of them, the caramel, the cheese, and the buttermilk, not buttermilk, butter regular popcorn, then I'm all game for that. So we stopped there and I said, hey, I'm gonna get me a cookie. It was cookies and cream, and she was able to warm it up. And then Jim was like, yeah, you like warm cookies? I like, yes, I like warm cookies because they are the best cookies now. Any type of cookie that I eat, hey, can we warm this up? Because it is better warmed up. I've been to Insomnia Cookies. They have one in Atlanta, and then they also have one in New York. And I've been to the one in New York, and they warm it up. Oh, and they have another one in North Carolina. We've been there too. Warmed up cookies, having a blast, and it just melts in your mouth. It's so good. So I encourage everybody, if you're for the holidays, if you want a nice treat, get you a nice cookie, but warm it up. And then the best thing, let me tell you, Monica, now I'm about to get in my fat bag. My fat bag is if you warm up your cookie and then you put ice cream on it. Now you got a sundae. Oh my God. It's really, really good. Um, so we ended up doing that. And then we headed over to our DJ set. And let me tell y'all, I just gotta say this from the bottom of my heart to everybody in Detroit and Chicago. You guys have made this thing so special for me this week. So my DJ set we did in Detroit, and a lot of people loved it in Detroit. For all of you guys who just now tuning in for the tour this week, I'm starting to DJ. And I say starting to DJ because I think I'm pretty good at it. I'm not super duper 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 professional like the most DJs before me that's been doing this thing for 20 years, right? I can't say that I'm an expert at DJing. I do mixes for fun because I love music. If you anybody that knows that about me, I genuinely love music. I can't live without music, right? At the gym, I need some sort of music. If I'm doing homework, I need some sort of music, right? I can't function in my life if I don't have music in my life. And I'm glad that the gods made music in this world for us to really relax and enjoy a good time. So of course, we started to DJ. I studied it and get ready last week, but then I knew I was going to take it on tour with me. And to see the responses from everybody is amazing. Our partners over there at Mixcloud, you guys are amazing. By the way, if you don't know what Mixcloud is, it's a website, it's a company and an app to where DJs can go and perform their DJ mixes and don't have to worry about takedowns or copyrighted music. They have licenses for the system to where you can play any type of music on that app and you can listen to the mix without any issues and get the plays up. I really encourage all DJs to take a look at that because it is hard to DJ and premiere your shows on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, without hitting that copyright. I wish all networks did that. Spotify, I heard and all them so I could premiere it, but maybe not because now this is what makes Mixcloud different. And they have a lot of great attraction. A lot of people are tuned in. So our followers been kicking up really, really well because people have been following. But Detroit debuted, and let's say Chicago real quick because we're in Detroit. Chicago for Afro Trap I debuted number one in the charts for Chicago. Thank you, Chicago. And I debuted lo-fi rap on the charts for Detroit. I debuted at number 10. Still good. Still good. Top 10. Top 10 in lo-fi for my DJ mix. Still good. Number 10, Detroit. You guys came out. You showed up. Everybody had a blast, and I gave you, it was really good because I told myself I was going to give myself a 30-minute set, but Detroit, you guys got a 44-minute set, almost an hour set. I love doing this thing, DJing and doing what I do, performing. I love doing it, and I'm so glad I found a new hobby because this is something I really genuinely enjoy doing, and I'm going to continue to do it because I have fun. I debut good records in the charts, and it's just you guys get to have a little taste of my music and what the music I like to listen to. And then we post our little snippets on our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and people love it there too. People like, dang, Kennedy, you DJing now? I'm like, yes, like this is something that I'm starting to figure out and starting to have fun to do. So I got to say to the two cities, thank you guys for allowing me to perform in your perfective cities. I don't know if I said that right. I'm just so emotional. I thank you guys for letting me perform in y'all's cities of Chicago and Detroit. It was so much fun. Chicago, shout out to Chicago, man. Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing some great things, and we're having fun doing the DJing. And then, of course, I've got my girl Monica here. Monica and I here for the Spectrum podcast, giving you guys our take for the city of Detroit. So it is quite amazing, to say the least. We met so many good people for our medical business. Again, I won't tarry too much in that because that's proprietary information. But just to see and meet so many people out there that's ready to go to work and ready to partner up with us with quite a few things. It is quite amazing game without giving you guys too much of that side of the business. But it's very good. And then you really get to know different styles and different cultures of Detroit. Like I say, we were walking walking outside in the city, and there was this gentleman. He was rocking some and again, I'm trying to get used to the Chicago, Detroit weather. It is cold. But there's a guy, and this is no lie, because Monica saw it. There's a guy who was wearing a very thin, long sleeve sweater, and my guy had on some shorts outside. Now, mind you, it was 20 something degrees, and he's doing that. I'm like, whoa, they're used to this. I would freeze my living ass off. But this guy who was walking by us. I'm like, whoa. You ain't cold. And then when we were near the Christmas tree, young lady comes by. Young lady walks by, and she had on, you know how girls like to wear, Monica, you might know. You know how girls wear like the little legging, they put on their underwear, undergarments, then they wear the leggings, and then they put the skirt on there. It's a cute design. But girl, you ain't cold. And she had just one jacket on. I'm like, your thing must be cold. It has to be, because it is cold out here. I'm shivering, and I got 2 New York style trench coats and a scarf and a beanie on, and I'm still cold. So again, they're used to it up here, man. They're so used to this cold, so that way they don't bundle up. I've seen a lot of people that don't bundle up. The one thing I got to say, and kudos to Chicago, and I know this might sound a little small, but it's very important. It's very important. So Detroit, some of their hospitality is amazing. And when I say hospitality, I meant niceness. Because we had a great group of us. Obviously, we're all on tour. Great group of us up there here in Detroit. And we're taking pictures one by one. And you'd be surprised the amount of people that say, would you guys like a picture together? And they just take the picture for you. They took 2 seconds out of their day, out of their night, to say, hey, they're trying to take a family picture. Hey, you need a picture? I can take the picture for you. Complete strangers that we never met in our lives they're willing to stop for a second to say, "Hey, I can take a picture of you guys. You seem like you're trying to get a picture together." That is the most awesome thing that I've ever seen. I know it's so small, but it's really, really awesome. That's what Detroit does. In Chicago, they did it a little bit in Chicago too, but they did it more in Detroit with that. Because usually people, and I say this, and it's so true. I say this when you're in your bubble, you're in your bubble, Monica, and you're so focused on yourself and what's in your bubble, you don't see what's on the outside. Right. And that's standard. And you see it a lot in Atlanta where when you know you need help and you try to ask for help, they won't help you. They just won't. But people were able to, hey, this family's trying to take a picture. Hey, we can help you. Let's help you take a picture. I'm like, wow, thank you so very much, because you didn't have to do that, but thank you. And then after that, we say, hey, thank you, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Um, we went on about our day. I know that's something super, super, super small, but it's very impactful that Detroit has to where they want to actually be human beings. I'm not saying any other state is not human beings, but like that's just being human and just being a kind-hearted person, right? I'm very, very excited for that as well. So shout out to Detroit on behalf of that. That was really, 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 really amazing. And one more thing too. We went to the Motown Museum in Detroit. Shout out to Motown. Shout out to Motown. So Motown Museum, it is the historical museum on the outskirts of Detroit, to where you get to know the history of the Supremes. Now, if you guys don't know, the Supremes was an all-girl group that were singers. They kind of remind you of a little bit of Dreamgirls, right, from that movie, just kind of a little bit. Ray Charles had something to do with Motown. Those are just the two that I'm familiar with. They had many other artists that did the Motown type of stuff with it. And look at Damien. He's on the move. He's like, all right, hold on, let me get the thing going. So Motown music, again, it symbolizes from the 1960s Motown records, live in effect with Detroit. Artists that was above the Motown Museum: Martha Reeves, Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye. Oh, I should have known that, Marvin Gaye. The Jackson Five, Gladys Knight and the Pimps, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Very, very good to see it ornated in the area. That house that was there when they made it. It was right there outside of Detroit, and then of course, obviously, they expanded out to a lot of other places. Now they're headquarters in New York, but the origin of it, they started in Detroit. Now their partner organization is Universal Music Group, Capitol Music Group as well. Again, Detroit, Michigan, founded January 12th, 1959 by Berry Gordy. Again, we were there in Detroit, Michigan. We went to that house, and the museum is there now. Sadly, the museum was closed when we went because it was at night, and obviously it was night, but it was really cool to see because, I encourage people. And then, Monica, I tell you, and we talked about this too. My type of fun is not necessarily going out to the club, drink, get fucked up, right? My type of a good time is dinner and going to museums. I love going to museums. I know a lot of our young people don't like to do that kind of stuff. I like to go to museums to understand the history of it, right? When we were in Chicago and we went on that tour, like, oh, there's the Sears building. It's like, oh, you really paid attention to that boat tour we went on. Yes, because I like to learn. I like to understand the history of it, right? And to see the history of Motown, the Motown records and Motown Museum, it is really, really cool to see. It is such a weird. It's not a weird thing, but it's kind of I want to say a taboo thing for me, because these artists are the music my parents listen to, right? My parents listen to it the most, and then you have it to where even my grandparents listen to musics like that. You best believe Marvin Gaye is on that list, right? Diana Ross and Stevie Wonder, that's on my grandma's, God rest her soul, and then a little bit of my mom's music taste, right? Because they're sort of really, my grandma was in the 1950s area. Sort of that was really my grandma, but then just a hint of my mom, right? Because my mom was born in the 1970s. So it's very, very interesting to really understand the history. And I do encourage people when you go out to these cities that you've never been before, number one, and you ride by a historic building or historic museum, just take a stop by and take a picture and really understand it, because this is something that's helped start it with me. Like I said, in music, right? I said it earlier. I love music. Motown was part of that, and we have to understand and appreciate the foundings of Motown and rock and jazz and blues and all types of genres in music, because a lot of people don't understand it. But really, really good, really, really good. There's a lot of interesting buildings there. And Monica wanted to kind of dabble a little bit into the buildings style of Detroit. Isn't that right?
Yeah, definitely can be. The buildings were very this is something that I love about cities that have a different take on buildings and the style of the buildings. It really gets us quite excited, to say the least, when we are touring and you get to understand, what can we say, understand the history of it, but just understand the different design styles of these buildings. It gets me very excited. There are a lot of buildings, which is very interesting because Detroit has a great history, right? Of snow, of job layoffs back in the way past years ago, right? There's a historic figure when it comes down to Detroit. Detroit, they're big on their football. I gotta say, every building that I've seen, you had the Detroit Lions logo everywhere. They are big on their team, which is so good to see. Not to say that Atlanta and the Atlanta Falcons are not, but you see Detroit down in the D, they are big on them Lions. They're huge. Um, so it's quite amazing to see the buildings. We did see want to say it was the Music City Hotel. Very cool to see. That might be something that we stay in the next time when we're back in Detroit. But very cool building, nice and blue. The design of it looked like a spaceship, right? So you see that, and then you see just all of the commodities of great buildings. There are quite that we saw on our way to Motown. We saw this one building that looked like it was an old school hotel, abandoned. It's been shut down and abandoned. The building's still there, but they had the wood planks up and it's been abandoned. Could you imagine if somebody invested into that building and turned it into a hotel? Could you imagine how much money that will pull? Now, obviously, with a big building like that that's abandoned, there's history behind that. I would invest, but I'll be kind of scared, Kennedy, because it is true when buildings, and this is weird, and this is true, it's true to our hearts, but it's not true out there really. But to me, when I see an abandoned building that's been wooded up and it's old school looking, you want to think that it's haunted, right? And it's like, hey, is this haunted? Is that building haunted? It looked like it could be on an episode of Ghost Hunters, but I think it would be cool if they turned that back into a hotel. That seems like $100 million project. A lot of people don't have that kind of cash to just float around for that type of project, but I think that would be really cool to invest in. So you see a lot of the buildings abandoned in Detroit, which is quite interesting to say the least. And you do see a lot of like Detroit type homes, right? And you really think that, wow, okay, so these are the type of homes that look like in Detroit. And there's nothing bad about it, but like houses are so different between states. And I didn't want to believe it, but it is true. Housing designs are so different between states. Obviously, we live in the suburban area of Atlanta, right? And you think about the Georgian style house, right? But then when you look at Detroit style house, it's different. It looks a little bit more cozy. It looks the design is very, I don't want to say, well, maybe I can say simplistic a little bit, right? Because it's straightforward. There are a lot of houses out there in closer to the city. They look like, man, I don't know how to explain it, Kennedy, but they're like, it's like bungalows, right? Like little bungalows. That's what they look like. And it's really cool because you can tell that they're nice and warm inside. Um, one thing I can say about Detroit too, and this is this type of neighborhoods that we've been on. The houses they have a lot of great windows, and then like the windows are open so you can see inside the house. Don't know about that. And maybe it's different. Maybe the culture is different. Because here in Atlanta, in our house in Atlanta, we have our windows like they open during the day when it's daytime, but at night close them. Right? We need privacy. But when we're driving in through Detroit the other night, windows are open. I saw somebody watching the football game. Somebody else was in the kitchen cooking. I'm like, you guys are just you say, hey neighbor, you could really see everybody's house and what they got. You can see the furniture they got in there because they had the windows so open. Um, again, don't know about that. Don't think I would rock with that in particular thing, but they're very close knit. And that's cool. That's cool because again, that's culture shock for us. That's different for us in the state of Georgia, we don't do that. But in the state of Detroit or Michigan, they do that. Um, yeah, but the buildings is different. Like I say, it is cold. It's cool up here in Detroit. Um, and then we went to the sort of finale. We went to another restaurant called the Basha restaurant, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Middle Eastern type restaurant to where I've had some really, really nice chicken wraps and fries. Kenny, you also had that too. And we were there with a couple of work colleagues on the other side of our business. And it was sort of like a business meeting, but we had so many great food and they put a lot of chicken and lamb and onions and peppers on that one platter. Oh, we were getting full, pot belly for sure. But the restaurant was really, really cool, authentic Middle Eastern food, and again, it tastes different. It tastes different because obviously in Atlanta you have a lot of different Middle Eastern type food, but it's so different in Detroit. If anybody will tell you something off and something wrong, then they're lying. It is a different world out there in Detroit when it comes down to the food. When we go back to the gym, that's going to be hard. That's going to be very, very hard to do because now we got to get them lose the weight again. But like I say, Detroit, boy howdy, it's cool to quote you, Kennedy, because you say that a lot. Now you got me saying it. But boy howdy, it is a it is a world to go see, and I encourage people to go out there to Detroit, experience the city. Um, it's cold. Now, if you go in the winter, you're gonna be cold, but it is fun to go. Hey man, and I love it. I love it.
Yep. Detroit, man, y'all was lit. I love y'all. It's very, very good to see the city, the great city of it. And it's not to say that we're never coming back to Detroit because we will be back in Detroit very, very soon. Because you guys love the DJ mixes, you love the podcast. So this whole tour thing, when DJ mixing and podcasting and content creating for y'all, we're still gonna be doing this for a long, 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 long time. Um, so I look forward to it. I look forward to coming back to your great city of Detroit. This one goes out to the people of Detroit. Your hospitality was amazing. And I can't wait to come back to Detroit and see a little bit more. Now, obviously, when you're on tour, you can only do so much. But maybe when we come back in Detroit, we'll do a little bit more sightseeing of the city because I'm sure there's more to see. But typically, when you're on a time crunch and you're on tour and there's certain things you got to do, we won't be able to see everything, right? But Detroit is quite amazing. Like I say, the tour doesn't end here. We've got one more stop back into Chicago to do a little bit more content creating for y'all. And then we end the tour on Saturday as we head back to our great state of Georgia. But I do encourage, again, what Monica said, if you guys ever have the experience to come to Detroit because you will not be afraid. You will not be regretful to see this great city of Detroit as well as Chicago, really, right? But we'll do a wrap up, Spectrum Podcast wrap up episode about the tour in general. So stay tuned, guys. Again, this episode was brought to you by Mixcloud, guys. Go check it out. You can download the app or go to the site, or even go to my Instagram of Kennedy Lucas NBA's link bio. Click that link in my bio. You guys get to see 4 tracks actually. So we have the 2 tracks from live on stage with our audience in attendance, and then we have just a raw recording from those 2 nights, but without the crowd, so you guys can really dabble more into the music. It is available there. Again, Chicago, we became number 1 in trap for the charts there. And then here in Detroit, we became number 10 in the charts for lo-fi trap mixes. So again, great scoring there. Go check it out. Follow us, by the way. Get the account. The account is free to sign up. You know, you don't have to be a DJ to get this one. You can be a user and just listen to different mixes. Get a sign up account and then follow me because our followers are growing. We want you guys to follow us, follow me, so you guys don't miss out on our next DJ mix because we gonna keep doing this. We gonna keep doing. Oh, and especially Monica in February when we live in Atlanta and we do a Valentine's Day set. Oh Lord, that's gonna be fun. Atlanta, y'all get ready for that one. But again, live from Detroit, we love y'all. Y'all stay safe, stay warm if you're living here in Detroit, and God bless Detroit and the great state of Michigan. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Spectrum Podcast. Again, it's been me and Monica Gray here, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas, saying so long, long and out. Stay safe and stay swanky.